Okay, so we're streaming. Let me just make sure that I tweet out the link to the stream. It still says we're starting. Link to the stream. Yes, just quick hello to Steve in the chat. Yes. Apparently, Hazel, apparently people already know. You already preempted people, letting people know that you're in a pub right now.
I am in a pub right now. Yeah, well, it takes me 2 hours to get home from work, and I didn't leave before, so here I am.
But yes, welcome to my Formula 2 preview, and I'm glad to be joined by the same person I previewed Formula 2 last year, Hazel Southwell.
Hello.
And I would say we upgraded from last year.
Was I in an airport last year?
I don't think you were in an airport last year. I think you were at a home last year.
Yeah, you could have just. This way you get a lot of ambience. A huge number of people are excited about Formula 2, and they've all come to a pub with me.
Are they actually excited for Formula 2, or are they excited for Mick Schumacher?
No, that's the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Even though that is always been Formula 2 to a degree, where a lot of people are more excited for particular drivers in Formula 2 than Formula 2 itself.
It's always been the hype machine. It's often been the hype machine defeater. We've seen the mighty fall. We've seen a lack of performance. We've seen out of nowhere incredible things. Or out of apparently nowhere compared to the front runners. We've also seen people just live up to the hype. Which probably neatly brings us to last year.
Yes, last year where we had
previously in Formula 2.
Last year we had a raft of drivers in Formula 2. Like just to run down the champion George Russell, second place Lando Norris, third Alex Albon. Also, if you throw in Nick DeVries, Artem Markelov, it was, I don't know, for some reason it feels like we don't get seasons like that in Formula 2 that often, where you have a lot of very spectacular drivers.
it tends to be a little bit cyclical, and you get really like what you call like fallow years, where there's really not no one of note. That's a bit mean, but there are a few years where you look at who's won and who was runner-up.
Yeah. Like, it kind of depends on, who wins and who doesn't win, how new they are to the series, because we also had a lot of years where the champion wasn't even the champion didn't even move up to Formula 1.
Yeah. I mean, you have to know that some of like Davide Valsecchi was a very worthy champion who had a lot of hype behind him. He never got a seat. He had like a couple of test drives for Lotus and I think made the pace run. But yeah, that was as close as he got. F2 in general is a bit of a troubled championship. It costs a lot to compete in F2. It costs over €1.5 million. At the top, it costs upwards of €2 million. So this is not a cheap championship. It's very difficult. Especially when F1 teams are taking straight up GP3, we're taking straight up F3, both of which are substantially cheaper. In particular, F3 is really very cheap for the amount of racing you get. It's very different equipment. The GP2 and now F2 cars are closer to F1 cars, and they drive on F1 circuits, which F3 cars don't, and GP3 cars do, but are very far off. So it's a difficult thing. It probably prepares you better, but it also has been hard for drivers to justify taking part in for a while because it is so much more expensive than the other sort of tier below junior series. European F3 now doesn't exist anymore, it's just cancelled as of last week. And what was GP3 is now F3. So there's a very clear pathway you must go to Formula 2. But it's a difficult series. It's also it is very competitive. You get people who hang around in it for multiple years. So you get veterans. You can't stay in it once you've won it, which I think is a bit of a shame. I think it should be more like Moto2. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people who have a lot of experience. Less this year, because they're all left.
Yeah, it kind of creates this, mandatory conveyor belt where you always have to force drivers down the line, even though there's nowhere to go at the end of the line.
Yeah, because I definitely think, if you look at Valsecchi, if you look at, say, Jolyon Palmer, who won it and had nowhere to go, he just went into a reserve seat for a year because he had nothing to do. There were no open seats. And would Palmer have potentially been better in F1 if he hadn't had a year of just sitting around kicking his heels at the back of the Lotus garage? Yes, almost certainly. Like, a year out does nothing for any driver.
Yeah.
I think the champion problem is actually quite a big one. Also, the fact that it creates a stigma of if you don't graduate, you aren't good enough. When actually, F2 should be where you hang around waiting for a seat.
Yeah, it should be a second division to Formula 1 in a way.
Yeah, completely.
Though, last year, we ended up in the strange circumstance where we had 3 drivers graduate to Formula
1. We did, which is the most for ages. And I've got some fun stats about that. but I can break it down later if you want, or I can just give it to you.
Yeah, we can get the stats right now.
Okay, so half of the current F1 grid came from F2, which is an unusually high number. So Hamilton, Grosjean, Hulkenberg, Perez, Antonio Giovinazzi, Pierre Gasly, Charles Leclerc, Alexander Albon, Lando Norris, and Russell are all from F2, and 5 of them are champions. So a quarter of the grid is an F2 champion. Some of them have been to F2 twice, Roman Grosjean. 80% of the drivers who got pole position at Bahrain, or the first round of F2, depending on where it was, it has changed over the years, in the last 10 years have graduated to Formula 1. So keep your eyes peeled for pole position. And Alex Albon, Lando Norris, and George Russell were first, second, and third qualifying in F2's first round last year, and all of them have moved up to F1. So there you go. That's some stats.
That's your stats, and
I've got more, but I've saved them in case people just switch on that.
No, it feels, in a way, if you look at how the standings shaped out at the end of last year and where the drivers actually ended up, things don't seem to make sense. Where you have, the champion George Russell at Williams, you have Alex Albon was able to get a seat at Toro Rosso, and you have Lando Norris at McLaren.
I've moved the mic really close to my face to try and drown out the background noise. Sorry.
That has actually vastly improved things.
Sorry.
Because the closer you get to the microphone, the lower I could set your audio.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about this.
It's okay.
I'm a professional producer of things. I would have just stayed in my office, but it turned out they were having like a big party in the lobby, which was where I was going to sit.
Oh dear!
Including like a children's party mobile disco. So I was like, oh, this is going to work. But yes, sorry. Back to the F2.
But yeah, F2. Though, again, you've talked about how expensive F2 is, and I think the biggest signifier of this is how much of the class of 2018 decided to go to Japan.
Yeah, I mean it is virtually the same price to compete in Super Formula, and Super Formula you can stay in indefinitely, and it's a proper grown-up series, and you can even get paid for it. Like Andre Lotterer made a pretty sizable amount of money running in Super Formula. So, in fact, it was probably one of his most lucrative race series. So, I think. For anyone but I mean there's a whole bunch of interesting things that happened last year, including that one driver and an entire team just straight up lost their funding.
Are we talking about one of the drivers that went to Japan?
I am talking about one of the drivers who's gone to Japan.
Yes.
Who's been quite kindly rescued from a very ugly situation. So there's a new team in the world's biggest inverted commas on the grid for F2 this year, which is Uni Virtuosi, which is actually the name of the squad that ran the works element of, or ran the mechanics and tooling of Russian Time. Russian Time, very successful GP2 team, funded by oh my god, I always get this wrong. It's not 1652. That's like what's on Cronenberg. But funded by a Russian group that are owned by Arsen Markelov's father, who was arrested for currently being politically the wrong type of Russian, or the wrong type of Russian oligarch. So Arsen lost his funding. It actually didn't seem like the team were going to make the final race last year. They somehow did. And we must all, raise a glass, take a sad toast, that Svetlana, Queen of F2, will never grace another podium.
Oh, God.
And then she kills somebody else and takes over a dump.
Oh, no.
I mean, the previous Russian time boss was murdered.
Let's.
I just want to clarify that I don't think that Svetlana had anyone murdered.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Formula 2 like to avoid
that was a coincidental series of events.
Just coincidentally. Oh dear. But yes, we do. The lineup of guys who went to F2 are really exciting, especially who they're going to go against up in Super Formula. That's also interesting. Where we have Narei Fukusumi, Tada Makino, and of course Artem Markelov go all over the Super Formula, where they'll face off against the likes of, Lucas Auer, Harrison Newey, Nick Cassidy, Soshu Boy, and Dan Ticktum, who I would say Dan Ticktum's probably like the most surprising name that I didn't see go to F2.
Well, this is like Red Bull's whole shtick with the junior program. So they feel that he's done enough and should have the super license, and that to now go to F2 with him, even though the last two F2 winners, the last three, have all F3 winners. Yep. Sorry, the series he came from, European Formula 3, have all gone to F2 to hone their racecraft and get used to the paddock and come into one. All three of them have, and it was good for them. And Dan Ticktum didn't win F3, and didn't win Asian Formula 3, so he doesn't have a super license, which is why Alexander Albon has the Toro Rosso seat.
Yes.
He can't evade the super license requirements because of his extremely serious previous misdemeanors.
Yep.
And the fact that he has a suspended 1-year ban. Still, he only served 1 year of his 2-year ban. And he I guess he's been sent to Japan to learn some manners. I don't know. I'll be interested if he I will be interested if he calms down. I don't think he will.
Me and my usual podcast cohorts of Andre Harrison and RJ O'Connell brought it up on the show, and I think we always use boxing terminology to we kind of say that Dan Ticktum is either it feels like he's ducking his competition, like Mick Schumacher or like Antoine Hubert, where it seems like he's avoiding facing off against the people that he's most compared with.
Yeah. I think for sure Ticktum. Ticktum's PR is dreadful. Ticktum's, I don't know. I mean, Pierre Gasly was exiled to Japan for a year because he heard that he might be being given Kvyat seat, and he got a little bit overexcited on a talk show.
Yeah.
Which, compared to the numerous PR crimes of Dan Ticktum, they just love him. They kept backing him after he was given a 2-year ban in a series that he was not fucking winning.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, this is racing. Sometimes biases are thicker than, I don't know, jail cells. But yeah, I think it sucks, but I think it's just the character of the Red Bull program. Maybe a year in Japan will prove.
Hopefully.
To be honest, anyone who, I mean, they've done an F1 test. I don't think there's any point.
Yeah.
What their intention is.
And probably deep down one of my favorite drivers in last year's class that I'm kind of sad not to see back in F2, but glad to see them get a ride elsewhere. Maxi Gunther got a ride in Formula E.
He did, and there's actually, I mean, there's at least, there's 2 Formula E development drivers in the current F2 grid for this year. There's 4 Formula E test days between them, and Jordan King over the summer said that he was extremely serious about joining Formula E. No one at Formula E could be reached for comment, but he was extremely serious.
Extremely serious.
I'm sure he'd be fine to be fine. Yeah,
he'd be fine, and it's like I like that drivers are interested in seriously driving in Formula E.
I'm very keen to see this. You know, there's been a couple of transitions straight from GP2 or F2 to Formula E, Mitch Evans and Maxi Gunther, and a long way back, Sam Bird and Daniel Abt.
Yes.
And Daniel was young at the time, albeit his choice was that or quit racing. But
true.
Like it was. There's a little bit of history to this, and there's one racer in particular who I think would be very well suited to it, and who I'd be thrilled to come across.
Okay.
But we'll get to that in a bit.
Okay. So I think it's time that we start running down the drivers who are actually going to be in Formula 2 this year. And first on the lineup...
Who is part of Junior Mayhem 2K19?
Junior Mayhem 2K19. Okay, so first team on the lineup is the last place team last year, Trident, who had a very tumultuous season.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many other Formula 2 teams I can think of who have been embroiled in a racism row, where they've then had to publish emails clarifying that they wouldn't allow one of their drivers to run a "Make America Great Again" livery. In fact, I can literally think of one.
But yes, last year Trident ended up running through 3 drivers after having to let go of Santino Ferrucci mid-year. So they had Arjun Mani, Santino Ferrucci, and oh god, who replaced Santino Ferrucci? It was... Why do I not have the right name here?
I don't know. I just assume every replacement was
it was Alessio Randy who replaced him, but
yes it was, yeah.
They did not have the best of years. Obviously, last place in Drivers' Championship. They did score points early in the year, then things went downhill.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like having one member of your team's drivers being actively racist to the other and also not paying for their drive that might cause problems. Sorry, just to confirm, allegedly racist.
Allegedly.
And doing things like wanting to run a "Make America Great Again."
But we can confirm that multiple people have alleged these accusations. But this year, hopefully, things are a lot less controversial and smoother with their driver pairing of Ralph Vachon and Giuliano Alessi.
Yes. So Ralph Boschung is one of 2 Swiss drivers in Formula 2, meaning that Formula 2, along with Formula E, holds the title for currently the most Swiss drivers in a single-seater series.
Which is insane, because racing technically is illegal there.
Unless it's electric.
Yeah, unless it's electric. That's literally the only exception.
Yeah. There have been 32 Swiss F1 drivers, in fact, which has to be, nearly a quarter of the population of Switzerland. So, good deal.
Every man a racing car.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite the odds that you can get in Finland. I worked it out the other day, and it's like 1 in 1,000 odds if you're a man born in Finland that you could be a F1 driver. But anyway. Yes, so Ralph Boschung won 1 GP3 race. He's had a really disrupted time in GP2 and now F2. He's switched grids a lot. He's never really had a seat for a whole season.
No.
And, I mean, he's never been in a good team. I feel like I honestly think that Ralph Boschung would probably have benefited by not stepping up and now can't step down.
Yeah, because
I feel like he can't quite afford the drive he needs in F2.
Yeah, like what?
Just to say, like, so F2 is a spec series. Sorry for talking over you.
Oh, it's fine.
But F2 is a spec series. All of the teams have the same cars. All of the teams have the same information to some extent from the manufacturers and from the series. So in theory, it should be a largely level playing field, but some teams have simulators or have access to simulators, or you can buy access to simulators elsewhere. Some teams have a lot more mechanics, have a lot more data modeling, have a lot more analysis running. Some teams are just better run.
Yeah.
And some teams just understand the series better. You can see there's a couple of teams that are super successful in other series and have come into F2 and again been successful. And I think if you're in some of the teams that are kind of less at the front, then it's like, yes, technically you have the same machinery, but it won't have been perfectly set up, and it won't have as many people working on it, and you won't have as many people analysing your data, and you won't have as much stuff. So there is a pecking order, despite the fact that the machinery is technically equal.
Yeah, technically equal. Though someone who might, be at a benefit for to be racing at Trident is Giuliano Alessi, who's in his 4th year at Trident, but his rookie year in Formula 2. He spent the last 3 years driving for Trident in GP3.
And he got 4 GP3 wins.
Yeah, 4 GP3 wins.
He's the son of Jean Alesi, a French Formula 1 driver. And
I'd say he's a fairly consistent driver where if he's usually about half the time he's guaranteed to get you points, which is very solid, especially in GP3.
Yeah. I mean, so Ralph Boschung is 21. He's about the average age of this F2 grid. Lacey is only 19, so it's fair enough that he's just moving up. The F2's car is very different. Maybe it was getting better. To be honest, the pecking order in the Ferrari Young Driver Academy, he is well down.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one a long way, but there's a few between him and the top as well.
Yeah, and it's hopefully things turn around for Trident. They're still testing, which, was only like 6 days. They were fairly low on the order. They were, either worst or second worst team, but maybe things will improve.
I mean, testing is testing. Testing for F2, I think there's a tendency to assume that people are going to try and put in a hot lap. I mean, a lot of the testing wasn't even done on a circuit they're going to run. You know, Jerez is not somewhere that they're ever going to run a race. So that will have just been long runs and strange testing. And I think consistent running, getting a lot of laps in, is actually much more important in F2 testing than I would put any form of speed, because also, I mean, the track's going to be totally different during F1 weekends. You start after F1 has laid down FP1 and FP2 rubber. So yeah, it's a very different situation, and I mean, you know, you're never going to run these tracks as cold as Barcelona and Jerez in March. So yeah,
it's completely.
It's sort of slightly less meaningful than F1 testing, really, because it's not like you're going to see which power unit's going to shake out harder.
Yeah,
it's like it's the same freaking Mechachrome thing.
And yeah, moving on to the next team in the championship, probably the team I think is going to be the most interesting team to watch next year, Arden, where Arden have an interesting pairing of the reigning GP3 champion, Antoine Hubert, which is really surprisingly low to be the reigning GP3 champion in this low down the order, alongside Tatiana Calderon, who is the first woman in the penultimate category of single-seater racing since Giovanna Amazzi.
Yeah, and well, I mean, it's a very different situation to then. So I remember Giovanna racing F1 or being part of F1 weekend. She never actually did a race. But she was a race entrant, but it was back when you could not qualify.
Yeah.
And because the grid was that fucking full that they could exclude people from qualifying. Wow, a different time. But yeah, so at the time, Formula 3000 was just something you could stick in. It wasn't really a junior series in the same sense.
Yeah.
You know, people came into F1 from all kinds of things, pretty much until the mid-noughties, and often from like fucking nowhere. Like previously did a couple of track days and now they're driving up.
Fucking doing Formula Renault UK.
Yeah, or something. Like there was nothing to stop you going straight from Formula 4 to Formula 1 if you had the money or whatever. So Tati is certainly driver to get, or the first female driver to actually get an F2 seat, to get a GP2 seat if it existed.
Yes.
Alice Powell probably should have had one, but we're stuck in dire GP3 teams where her car just blew up 90% of the time. Tata has stayed the course. She's got quite a good sponsor. She's got Telmex as a sponsor. If she scores points, this will be the second highest a woman has. Oh, well, in the Grand Prix, it will be the second highest category that a woman has ever scored points in. Especially if she scores multiple, it will be the highest on a Grand Prix circuit during the Grand Prix weekend. Because actually, women have scored, well, one woman has scored in Formula E, which is a top 5 single-seater series, so, but not the same chain. Tata has the entire fucking weight of her gender on her shoulders, and if she doesn't immediately beat everyone, then obviously that's it. We'll close the book on women in racing, and we shan't have any more. She is the Alfa Romeo test driver She was famously faster than Fernando Alonso during the tyre test last year.
Never forget.
She's done 2 F1 tests. She has done 2 Formula E tests, and she would have qualified 4th in the Marrakesh E-Prix with the time that she banged in Andre Lottere's car. He qualified 16th. This is my favourite fact.
It's like, I did not know that fact until now.
I asked him about it. He was like, "Yeah, well, I made a mistake," and it was just like, "I didn't." It was like, fair play. That's kind of how driving a car works, Andre. But yeah, she's Colombian.
Yes.
Not a huge number of top flight single-seater drivers who are Colombian.
Well, there's one notable one.
There is, but Tatiana is the only current, and there are 15 nationalities, 14 if you follow one of their license rather than their own nationality. But there are people from 15 who hold passports from 15 different countries in Formula 2 this year. I nearly said Formula E. God, I'm so tired. But yes, so kind of notable for that.
But
there you go. My big spiel.
Your big spiel. On the other side of the garage, we have Antoine Hubert, GP3 champion. I'm pretty sure he's still in the Renault Sport Academy.
He is.
Part of me is like, what happens?
Arden are a good team. Arden are not a back-running team.
Arden, historically, they're a very good team.
Arden had problems last year. Arden were particularly badly hit by the clutch issue at the start of the season. So they moved to a different car last season, to this new Formula 2 car, which is turbocharged car, which had massive clutch problems. Like, cars were just stalling on the grid. They were stalling before the grid. The anti-stall system wasn't working. It was a very big problem. It was actually incredibly dangerous. So we had rolling starts for quite a few races last year, just because it was so dangerous to try and have them do a grid start. Because you just had cars that were stranded, motionless, and other cars trying to make a quick getaway around them. Arden suffered from that, and their drivers really suffered from that, because if you can't trust the car to start, I don't know how you can drive it. Like, if you're sitting on the grid going like, I really fucking hope it starts so someone doesn't rear end me. Like, I don't know how you come back from that. But like, Maxi was in them last year, and he's a good driver. He won a race for them. Like, they're not back markers. They're not Campos or Trident, but they. I hope that they've been able to go away and get the hang of the current system. They're the team that's owned by Christian Horner and Mark Webber.
Yes, and also notably, Tatiana Calderon also mentioned this influencer going to this team. The fact that they now have a technical partnership with HWA.
HWA, yes, they do.
Yes. So they literally have every single tool in their pocket to be successful. Hopefully things play out that way.
I'm excited to see Tati in Monaco this year and Baku.
Yes.
Because she's spending most of her time jammed down the back of a simulator in Monaco practicing for the circuit.
Ooh.
Yeah. We shall see.
We shall see.
She really properly is Titi's development driver. She is properly like they want her in the sim all the time. They can't get Andrea Jevin to it. So yeah. Antoine, I hope it goes well for him. He is good, but he did win GP. He's got a weak GP3 championship.
Yeah.
It's not the weakest I've seen, but he only actually got 2 wins, which in 10 race series is still perfectly valid. It's not a no-win championship, but
it does leave some doubts.
It's very different to Formula 2, I think. I mean, it's not that I think he's crap. It was a very strong grid, but yeah, I'm not expecting him to sort of like walk over Tatiana just because he's the champion.
Okay, so moving on to the next team, MP Motorsport. MP Motorsport were in an interesting position. They were 8th in the championship last year. This year they didn't have drivers announced until after testing, and the drivers they announced were Jordan King and Mahavir Raghunathan. And
my favorite thing about them is they didn't have to do this.
They didn't have to do this.
But I respect that they're doing it.
Ooh, that's just gonna be the tagline of their season. We didn't have to do this.
Yeah. We created this mayhem only. There was no contractual obligation.
Oh, and I don't know. It was a weird circumstance where I know in Jordan King's end of things, I wouldn't say things didn't turn out well for him in IndyCar. He had a good year in IndyCar doing the road course races for Ed Carpenter, who solely does oval races. But any person who ends up being the road course ringer for Ed Carpenter wants to end up doing more, wants to end up having the entire season to do both the road courses and the ovals. But things didn't play out. He didn't get a seat. He will be returning for the Indianapolis 500, but he doesn't have a seat for any other race in the year. So I guess things played out that he was able to end up at MP Motorsport.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan King, what can we say about Jordan King? So Jordan King was the original supermarket rich kid in F2. His dad owns Sainsbury's, which is I think it's Sainsbury's. If not, it's some other big UK.
It's Sainsbury's. It's Sainsbury's.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I was suddenly like, am I just saying that because I'm like, I went to a Sainsbury's recently. But yeah, so his dad owns Sainsbury's, and he saved up all his next points, bought him a ride in Formula 2. Nexa is a loyalty card. Sainsbury's, the UK supermarket. You get points if you buy. Yeah, so Jordan King is. Well, I mean, actually, I'm going to find his tweet, which is really magnificent. So he announced his return to F2. And it would be fair to say that he's one of the drivers that's slightly an outsider to the other drivers and hasn't necessarily made a huge number of friends over the years in the Formula 2 paddock. But he's back. And he announced that by looking forward to joining back up with MP Motorsport Jesus Christ, they had to use an underscore at the end of their Twitter username. They can't even be themselves. For their 2019 FIA F2 season and helping them reach new heights, such as 7th place. Still 100%, but still 100% focused on my WEC and Indy 500 commitments. So, yes, but he is glad to be back with his whole crew. And Jordan King did have a little bit of a tendency for racing quite hard, or a reputation for racing quite hard. Quite hard being the term that we use, dramatic. But if I have another glass of wine, you might get a different one. Meanwhile, his teammate. What do you know about his teammate?
I know that his teammate was the 2017 championship of the greatest racing series on Earth, Boss
Hell
GP.
fucking yes.
Oh, I never thought Boss GP would be on the road to Formula One.
As somebody who works on things related to this, although I don't think I'm allowed to say what, I am not allowed to list Boss GP as on the for reasons I can't possibly imagine. However, do I want to compete in it? Fuck yes.
Oh dear. But
I could wreck shit up good.
literally cause crash damage or win.
So, Boss GP, for anyone who is not 100% familiar with this, now, Boss is an acronym, and King, look up what the acronym is whilst I'm saying this, but it's a race series where, well, anything goes. You can be driving an old Toro Rosso car. You can be driving an A1 GP car. You can be driving, I don't know, whatever you've got in the garage.
Well, Boss means, I always known this, big open single seaters.
Oh, sorry, yes, it has to be a single seater.
Yes, that's the only rule. Just be a single seater. And man, I've never seen a Boss GP race in full. I've only seen highlights, but the highlights are tremendous. Just seeing these weird combinations of cars race side by side.
It's so good. It's on my bucket list of shit to see, especially because they're running a Formula 1 car. They've got one engineer and a laptop.
One engineer and a laptop. Somehow we're still able to operate this Toro Rosso with one guy and a laptop.
I mean, I think it's a clear sign we need to cut budgets, because it is a lot more fun. But yeah, so he won in 2017 in an old A1 GP Lola.
As you do.
So that's a fact. His other reputational things that you might want to know about him is that he is sort of considered someone who makes some very interesting moves. Potentially, ways that he has been described to me. I have not used these descriptions, but to quote ways that have been described to me are like a wrecking ball, and like a runaway train through a grid of cattle. I think we have to applaud, the Lords of Mayhem bring us mayhem, and Mayhem Provisioners Motorsport have surely delivered.
Yes.
If they're really boring this season, I'm not going to forgive them.
Yeah, that's the one thing I love about Formula 2. There needs to be some person to bring the chaos, and I think Raganathan is going to bring the chaos this year.
I think he will, and I can respect him for that. Anyone who just sets out to cause shit. Yes.
Well, Stephen Wood in the chat. Stephen Wood in the chat. Maldonado 2.0 question mark.
Oh, I mean, Maldonado really has nothing on it, and also Grosjean always wildly exceeds crashing. He just got the hype for it. Maldonado could hold his nerve all the way to a Grand Prix win. But yeah, I think, there's a lot of sensible, earnest kids here who really want to earn a place in motorsport history, and somebody has to be the guys that aren't. And that's MP.
Yeah. MP. Now, you think they're going to actually be better than 8th in the championship this year?
Depends how many of the rest they knock out, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Okay, so moving on to the next team. Campos. Campos this year have they have Dorian Bacalacci and Jack Aiken, which interesting pairing. Did not again. I guess everyone has to drive somewhere, and I guess Aiken ended up at Campos.
Well, Aiken was actually the first driver announced for F2 this year. It was pretty much like the day after the last season ended. He was announced at Campos, so I assume he was placed there by Renault. But Christ, it's a bit of a sentence. He was at ART with George Russell last year. Aiken had really shitty luck with the clutch, and I think he lost his nerve. And it's totally understandable to lose your nerve if you cannot drive. Like, much more experienced, much older drivers lose their nerve. I mean, whatever happened to him, he wasn't having time technically. He had a very unreliable car. He had a few disasters. He won one race despite all that last year, but he was utterly whipped by Russell, who just had the better luck. I think ultimately you have to look at it. He's also very skillful, but so is Aiken. Aiken had been a close second to him in GP3, so both in the same team again. Aiken, he had a rotten year last year. It wasn't as bad as some. Niroi Fukuzumi, who was third in GP3 the previous year, certainly had the most rotten. He's done test, and then halfway through last year was replaced by Artem Markelov as the tester for Renault.
Yeah.
Because Artem was whipping Jack in the points. Artem, who had never really been looked at as a prospect until the previous year. So Jack has a lot to prove this year. And does he have the equipment to prove in? Maybe. I don't know. Campos can do good engineering. They actually do some of the Formula E engineering for some of the teams. Whether there's enough funding in the F2 team now to ensure that they do that, then don't know. But I mean, it's a coin toss. Dorian Boccolacci.
Yeah, he drove for them at the closing round, like a couple of closing rounds last year.
He did. He has virtually no sponsors. If you look at his race suit, he's got nothing on it apart from the team sponsors, which is quite unusual. And he, so his the main reason you might recognise him is because he's just good friends with Esteban Ocon. So he's quite often on Ocon's Instagram and like social media. He is a good racer. He doesn't really have any funding. He doesn't not have any sponsors. He can just afford to self-fund. He just doesn't really have any funding. And so he's struggled up the single-seater ranks. He's only 20, but he's still sort of relatively old to be scrubbing for a drive in the way. Will he last the season? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I suspect he's in hock to Campos to get here and need to find that or start winning. But there's two Campos drivers with a fuck of a lot to prove on their shoulders. Right?
Yeah, they got a lot to prove. Just as
I think they're both really good and really nice.
Yeah, they're really good. Like to give the audience some perspective, Bacalacci, like 2014, he was second in French Formula 4. The year in 2016, he was second in Formula Renault Euro Cup. He was also third in the Northern European Cup. Over this off season, he ended up driving in the Andros Trophy, but in the junior class, not the professional class. Just as an example, like he won that championship. He won 8 out of the 11 races, but he was the only driver in that category to have a Wikipedia page.
My notes here say he won comedy ice slide.
Comedy ice slide.
The Andros Trophy, for anyone who doesn't know what it is racing on ice.
Yes. The only reason I even
In
follow
the Alps, for shits and giggles.
the Alps until the finale, where they had an ice oval race at the Stade de France in Paris.
Oh, fuck me, I saw that. I actually blocked it out of my mind.
I just had to watch it because it was the weirdest thing. Oh my god. But yeah, he won it. Obviously, he was far more talented than every other driver in the field, but he won it. It's going to be interesting times. Interesting times at Campos. Okay, so moving on to the next team, and now the graphic says Charouz.
We are Sauber Charouz Racing System. Oh, sorry. Sauber Junior Team by Charouz Racing System.
Yes.
It's the Swiss-Czechian team up no one realised was going to happen.
And it was impressive in terms of there were a lot of people. there were a lot of people in this junior team. But the two that got slotted in for the junior seats in Formula 2 were Juan Manuel Correa, the only American in the field, and Callum Ilott.
Is he American?
Yeah, he's American.
I thought he was Ecuadorian.
Well, he was born in Ecuador. He races under an American license. I believe he lives here.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Juan Manuel Correa, of course, racing for Sauber Junior team, sharing, or also the Alfa Romeo development driver, Alfa Romeo, the team formerly known as Sauber, and sharing a name with Alfa Romeo's second
world champion.
World champion, Juan Manuel Fangio. Some motherfucker had to look that up to put it in the Formula 1 Instagram story.
Oh. But, Juan Manuel Correa, not a bad driver, not a great driver. I would say just above average.
You know what? He's one of the youngest in the field. He's 19. He has not had a huge amount of time to show what he can do. I know we have 19-year-olds in Formula 1, but where 19-year-olds should be is here.
Yeah.
Raise
the age limit in Formula 1.
Well, I mean, we should just be looking at a longer lead-up. Like, Lando Norris is in Formula 1, but Lando Norris has, and I've got a spreadsheet somewhere where I've got this, but Lando Norris did something like 58 single-seater races before he did his first race in British F3. So
he pretty much spent his whole adolescence in iRacing.
Oh, but he's done he's done one F1 start now, but he's done over 200 single-seater races before.
He's arguably the most experienced rookie in Formula 1.
Yeah, and that's because he could afford to do it. So, which is partly because his family are just loaded, so they could just throw a few million at it a year, because it was that or he'd be at Eton College. But that is the background that he comes from. He's a nice boy. I'm not riding on him about that. Like, he's very talented. Like, you can throw money at something and still be shit. He has had money thrown at it. He's worked on it. He's exceptionally good. He clearly had talent in the first place.
Yeah.
Realistically, most people take a lot longer to assemble the funds to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we be looking at drivers older. We shouldn't be saying like if you have done it by 20, then you're dead. Like, but because like a lot of the grid in F2 is well over 20. Tatiana is the oldest at 26. Girls just have quite a or women have quite a significant problem with progressing up single-seater series.
Yeah.
You don't get access until later. You usually don't start as young. But someone will come to later. Nokara Matsushita is 25. Nicholas Latifi is 23. Luca Giotto is 24. Nick De Vries is 24. Jack Aitken is 23. But like the grid is not. These aren't people younger than the youngest F1 drivers.
They're not kids. They're university students.
Yeah. I mean, they're like post-grad,
Yeah.
Or whatever you call it.
It's.
But yeah, so to get back to Sauber, so Juan Manuel Correa, he's 19. He's kind of not done anything exciting, but he is an Alfa Romeo development driver. We'll see what he does this year. I mean, that's really all I can say about him. To be honest, like he's just got nothing to go off previously, unless you have an insight king.
Yeah, it's. Ooh. But yeah, on the other side of the garage, we have Callum Ilott, who is interesting case where there's a British driver in the Ferrari driver academy.
It has happened before. Yeah, Callum Ilott. So 2 GP3 wins. He was 3rd overall in 2018. So he could be in the Nero for Kazumi. God so help him. He won in Euro 3 8 times, which is no trivial thing to do. He's 20 years old, and he has a big ass barrier called Mick Schumacher between him and moving into it.
Yeah, which I don't know. It feels like. Well, that's kind of most driver academies, where there's clearly an ace of the academy that pretty much, if anything fantastic is gonna happen, it's gonna happen to the ace.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Callum's hired a big PR agency, and like they're on a major offensive. You may have noticed quite a few news stories about Callum.
Yes.
That might help him. He's a good racer. He hasn't always had good funding. It seems like he does at the moment, and the Ferrari Driver Academy has given him a bit of leeway. I don't think it would actually do him any harm if he can wait it out to have another year. But the problem is when you've got a superstar and you don't beat the superstar. I mean, if you beat the superstar, you're likely to find yourself dropped, and if you don't beat the superstar, you're likely to find yourself dropped. So it's a bit of a
catch-22. Yeah.
But yeah,
it's interesting situation. I don't know how to feel about this tie-up between, Charouz and Alfa Romeo with this massive, sprawling junior team that it looks like seats might open up at Alfa Romeo soon, considering that Raikkonen has a 2-year contract. Don't know how long Giovinazzi is going to be there.
Raikkonen will be in F1 until Ferrari win a championship. No, I'm not joking. He's their last champion.
Yes.
He can't leave F1.
He's literally bound to Formula 1.
No, they will keep him in Formula 1. They will pay whatever it takes
to make sure he doesn't retire.
Remotely competitive. Yeah. I am not joking. that is how Ferrari work. It is so important to them that they have an extant champion.
That they don't want to end up in the situation where pretty much like how long did Niki Lauda race until he retired? Like, it was an ungodly amount of time.
Oh god, I mean, you couldn't wrestle him out of the fucking car. But I mean, the same thing will happen with Raikkonen. He just won't move.
He just won't move.
Not until they get another, or Formula One implodes, or they leave. But like, unless he's like seriously decrepit. Like, at the moment, you know, I don't think Raikkonen is great, but I don't think he's a world championship contender. But he is competitive.
Yeah, he's still competitive.
So, yeah. They were finally guilt pressured into actually backing an Italian, so we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, I mean, like, it's not. I mean, they also have Haas.
Yes.
Who they can lean on pretty fucking. So, you know, Ferrari don't really have a seats problem. So it's not a bad shout being the Ferrari Young Driver Academy. It's certainly not as doomed as. Speaking of the next lot.
The next team on our list. Prima. There's Prima. They have Sean Gelael, who they've retained, and they have Mick Schumacher.
Sean Gelael, hero of junior.
Funder of all his friends.
Yeah. No, but seriously, like,
yeah, that is something that I just love about him.
Lost their drive.
Yeah.
Like, he looked after Stoffel when Stoffel was losing his drive. Like, he bought Antonio Giovinazzi shoes because they're that good friends that he was just like, man, your shoes are shit. Like, you have actual, like, falling apart shoes. I'm going to buy you some shoes. And, like, he lets them stay in his flat. He knows he's a rich boy and he uses it for good. Like, I think there's a lot you can say about Sean Gelael. I mean, he's also only 22.
Yeah, which
he's
feels strange because it feels like he's been around for ages, but he's only 22.
Yeah. So this is his fourth year in GP2, but he hadn't really had that much of a go in single seaters before because he's Indonesian, and I mean, basically there's this problem. If you don't move to Europe, there isn't loads and loads of regional single seaters that you can go up in. There is in, like, say, Brazil and Europe. That's basically it. And it's only a couple of countries in Europe. So it's France, Britain,
Germany, Italy, and that's
there's not a lot. And France most places you can do F4, but it's not necessarily going to get you into something like British F3, which is a road into F3.
Yeah.
RIP. But yeah. So yeah, I kind of, I think Sean could be better than his results. I actually think Sean ought to go to endurance racing. He was very successful. So he and Antonio Giovinazzi became friends at some point in Italy when they were karting. And then he funded Antonio to compete in the Asian Le Mans series,
Yep.
with him, and they were very successful there. So yeah. But Sean, much derided, has 2 points finishes in WEC, 1 points finish in ELMS, the European Le Mans Series. He has 2 Asian Le Mans Series wins, and he is one of the most experienced testers and FP1 outingers. on the F2 grid because he has had a long-standing partnership with Toro Rosso. So I don't know. I'm not ruling out him kind of.
Yeah, like.
But I mean, all of the attention has to be on the other one.
Oh yes, the other one, Mick Schumacher, who had I don't know.
He's just some guy.
Yeah, like Mick in 2017 was not the Mick at the start of 2018, and was not the Mick at the end of 2018. It felt like there was this, I wouldn't say phantom turnaround, but like out of nowhere, Mick Schumacher was able to find this, extra gear and, start turning points finishes into podiums, then start turning podium finishes into wins, and then he just didn't stop winning, and then he won the European Championship.
So that he'd always been very carefully protected from quite a lot of stuff, which was totally right.
Yeah, like he raced in karting under a pseudonym.
Yeah, which was, again, totally right. He was a child then. He's now 20. His father, when he was 20, was not winning German Formula 3.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out. And it would take him quite some time to get to F1, a couple more years. So, Mick, I mean, there's some grotesque photos on Twitter of the media cluster around Mick. There's not every fucking F1 journalist at the circuit, every F2 driver's press conference. I cannot imagine what the fuck they were asking him. Yeah. Did you know your dad was famous? Did you?
Did you?
Oh, you do? Oh, shit. But like, he hasn't had an F1 test. I mean, what are they going to say? Like, what does it mean to test a Ferrari? Fuck off. Who the fuck cares? Of course it means a huge amount, but leave the fucking boy alone. I do find it tasteless. But Nick has really good people around him. The Ferrari, the Schumacher family, and the people who manage the Schumacher estate, have been very careful with Mick. I think they sort of let him off the leash a little bit after a while last year.
Yeah.
And kind of went like, you can do your own thing. And I think where you started to see a turning. Yes. I know there was sort of, I think also he just got a bit of confidence, like he got that first win in, and then the momentum builds. And momentum is a huge thing. But you can see what happened last year with George Russell destroying Lando Norris. Lando Norris any clutch problems. He didn't have any issues.
Or
he did have.
Or forget about talk about momentum. Forget about Norris and Russell. Alex Albon last year.
Oh yeah. I mean, he just got on one and then he went on one. Yeah.
But
he didn't even have a full season drive. He didn't even have a drive past the first race when he rocked up here last year.
Yeah, and after the summer break, he was points leader.
And then the Dams team believed in him so much he got from easy, and then he pissed off the Toro Rosso like a fucking fool.
Hey, if someone offered you a Formula One ride, I'd take it.
King, I spend my entire time trying to stop having Formula One jobs so that I can have a Formula E job. It's literally anyway.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It is. I've been fired by Toro Rosso. Anyway, where were we? So, formerly known as Russian time, Uni Virtuosi.
Yes. Now that we've quickly moved away from Freema. Oh my god. the end of Russian time hurt me more than I thought it would.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay about it. I'm not okay. Will I ever be okay? No, probably not. I mean, just Svetlana. I'm never going to see her in a paddock again.
Ooh.
She was my idol. We could barely exchange words because my Russian is very poor. And God, Svetlana Stranikova, you were a god amongst peasants.
But yeah, last year, despite the team folding last year, they finished 4th in championship, and
they did. They folded halfway through the season.
Yeah, Artem Markelov finished 5th. Tata Makino finished 13th. Things.
Both winners.
Yep, both winners. Both winners. Up until things collapsed, it looked like maybe 29. Like they were turning. They started off the season pretty rough. They turned things around.
Yeah, they really struggled with the new car.
Up until things fell apart. It looked like 2019. They looked like they were going to be contenders in 2019. I don't know now. This year's lineup, they have Lucas Giotto, who's joined them, and Guangyu Zhao, which pretty decent lineup.
Yeah.
It's. I don't even know what to expect anymore out of this team.
So Guan Yu Zhu, first Chinese F2 racer for a bit. Got a note somewhere. Technically, Guan Yu Zhu, second ever Chinese F2 entrant. The last was David Zhu in a different form of F2 in 2012. Hopin Tung also entered GP2. Guan Yu Zhu, he's got 2 F3 wins. He's young. He's rated quite highly, and Cheetah quite good. The Chinese Formula E team. He's a development driver there. He's a test driver, development driver there. So they kind of. Obviously, there is the interest in having a Chinese driver, but also I think it's genuinely a reflection of the fact that they quite rate him and like him, that they kept him for 2 seasons. I don't know. He's a junior driver, isn't it? He does.
It's like he wasn't. He wasn't spectacular.
He's an unknown quantity.
Yeah, he was an unknown quantity. He wasn't spectacular in European Formula 3, he did get wins. He has potential. He has potential. It's we just we haven't seen all of it yet. But yeah, Univirtuosity, I think maybe they could finish, maybe 4th or 5th in the championship, be just as well as they were.
I think for sure it's the same engineering team, it's just a different branding. So
yeah,
they're a good team. Luca famously. Markelov was team ordered for Giotto a couple of times, and it was at a point where I think, as with Lello, team didn't have as much faith in Markelov as they could have, because he did take a while to. I don't think he minded being team ordered for Mitch Evans when he was first in it, but the next two he actually wasn't behind necessarily, and but Luca is good. Like Luca was good enough to be in front of him. So, and Luca was he was in Trident last year. So, coming back to a what is a better team.
Yeah, which is
a good thing.
Yeah, being objectively
Luca
at a better
is
team.
really good. I can't necessarily see Luca getting to Formula One. He's got no backing, but I can see him getting a good position somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where that is, I don't know. So.
Okay, so moving on to the next team, Dams, who obviously no longer have Alex Albon, but they do retain Nicholas Latifi and have acquired Sergio Sette Camara.
Yes. So Sergio Sette Camara came to Harlem last year as Norris's teammate. Didn't quite embarrass Norris, but took the fight to him quite a lot of the time. Latifi, God, he's been here a long time. He looks really old as well. I mean, I sympathise with that, so do I. But actually, I am, and he's not. I don't know. He's now the Williams test.
Yeah, test driver.
Or something. Yeah.
Actually, no. Ooh.
Latifi's got so much friggin' money, and his dad owns bits of McLaren, and I kind of think he should just fuck off and get an endurance ride.
Yeah, just
like,
be a McLaren factory GT3 driver or something.
Like some drivers suddenly get it. So like Markov.
Yep.
No longer here this season. I'm taking it fine. It's okay.
You could watch him in Super Formula.
Yeah, it's fine. I can just never sleep again. Fine. I had that planned in until August anyway. But yeah, so Latifi, he isn't turning into a champion.
No.
And like I would take my fucking money and go and get a Rebellion Wex seat. Because it's going to be more fun.
It's going to be more fun.
I don't know. I just think getting your ass handed to you F2 can't be that.
No.
He's got 2 F2 wins, but I mean, he's...
Yeah, but he's been like, he's been regressing in the championship standings.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest... FP1 test and simulator work, which actually, to be fair, I mean, like, so you can look at Norris, not massively performed last year, but he was in and out of the simulator all fucking time for McLaren.
Yeah.
So F2 was really, to be honest, not a focus. And it was the first year that he wasn't racing every fucking weekend in some kind of series. So, which, to be fair, F1 is a bit like that. So, you know, it's over half the year condensed into 3/4 of the year. So, but yeah, if I was Nicholas Latifi, I'd probably take my money in my private jet and I'd do something that made me happy.
Oh, yeah, do
Maybe
something.
F2 makes him happy. Makes me happy.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But yeah, Dams third in the championship last year. Do you see them still being third?
Honestly, yes. Sette Camara is very good. Yeah, Latifi is shit. I don't really see a huge number of people in their way.
Yeah. And Camara has a lot of pressure on him being the lone Brazilian in Formula 2, with there being no Brazilians in Formula 1. Even, like, there's interviews with Felipe Massa saying that Sette Camara needs to win the series this year.
Oh, yeah, but Massa will just say any shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've spoken to. Obviously, there's a lot of Brazilian drivers in Formula E.
Yep.
One of whom has just departed his team, whether he's serious or not, I don't know. And PK Jr. had quite a measured view on this, which is that there's a very political thing around Brazil, and he felt he basically felt everyone fucking pissed. And you know, if there isn't a Brazilian Grand Prix, the whole series won't collapse. But it's not quite the view of everyone.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of on his side, where I think F1 will be fine without a Brazilian Grand Prix. I don't know if Brazilian fans will be fine without a Brazilian Grand Prix and a Brazilian driver.
I mean, I'll be real with you. I have access to a huge number of stats, and it's not. Brazil is a football nation.
Yeah, that's obvious.
So, you know. They do care about F1, but that's one thing that shows up once a year. It's not quite the same way that, like, Argentina. Fuck me, they care about motorsport. So much.
Yeah, it's kind of insane they've gone so long
even
without.
Even like Uruguay or Mexico, like Mexico's in North America, but like that bond is hit below Brazil. Chile, they sort of weirdly care. And like these are places I've obviously been for Formula E, and like yeah, I just Brazil's got a hot mess on its hands right now. It's kind of like I'm amazed that we've managed to secure an E-Prix in London in 2020. I'm just assuming that London will be on fire in 2020 as things stand. So better go to the pub and do a podcast whilst I can. Right. Yes. So moving on from dams.
Yes. ART.
What do you think of Nikita Mazepin, King? I feel like I haven't asked you enough questions.
How do I feel about Nikita Mazepin? Well, I know about his interactions in the paddock.
Interactions, you say?
Yes, and with another driver who's actually in the
involving his fist.
Yes, his fist with another driver who's actually in the field.
Just to clarify, that was used in punching.
Yes. Oh, it is. I hope him and Isla don't have any more run-ins, but man.
Do you hope that?
I think he's calling me.
Or do you hope that Ilot's spin down the gym? I mean, like, I'm so up for. My Autosport parody headline generator did an incredible tweet about Formula 2, and like I blocked all of the network Twitter accounts, so the only one I ever see is Autosport headline generator.
That is the only way to consume Autosport.
Well, and more people think this is me. I really need to emphasise that it is not me, and I'm not like lying. It's not me. It's not me. I'm not this funny. But aside from the fact that their most recent tweet is breaking, Ralf Schumacher's nephew will make his F2 debut this weekend.
Though, for real, like my Occam's razor theory on F1 headline generator, it has to be someone within Autosport, because they would have to know what the article is going to be as it goes out, so they know what the actual headline and story is.
it's someone who really understands social media. Because
True.
the way that they use it is too good. I'm sure it's somebody
Is
I know,
it someone?
but I don't know
It
who
is. It is some poor unpaid person in the academy.
I don't think it is. It's like, because that's too cultish for them to do this. I don't know. But yes, their F2 headline more recent, less recently was: Are you as keen as F2 boss Bruno Michel to start the new feeder series season? I am ready to unleash my wild children to do dreadful battle for your amusement. I make no apologies for the things you will see.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and
People in the chat are adamant that it's you.
It's not me. I swear to God. Clearly whoever it is follows me, but I don't know who it is. Right.
But yeah.
So yeah, Nikita Mazepan. Daniel Fisticuffs.
And it was him paired up alongside Nick DeVries.
Daniel, extremely pleasant young man. No, Nick is lovely. He's a very sweet, very earnest young man. He obviously lost the battle for the McLaren seat, although he's technically still a McLaren back driver. He's an Audi driver. So when Lucas Di Grassi inevitably quits Formula E in a big battle that week. Sorry, Lucas, I love you. Sort of, really.
I'll still never get it. I'll still never get over him getting out of his car and ending the race.
It was going to be a rare anyway. There were 2 kills on a runoff area. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, he deserved to get penalised for being a prat, but it wasn't his fault for ending the race. You know, two immobile cars in a runoff area would definitely do that. But yeah, and to be honest, he could have done it. You can make a legitimate case for saying it was a safety and do it if they didn't do it, because otherwise you're a citizen fucking car runs into you. But either way, yeah, when Lucas fucks off for a laugh, just to screw with robots or whatever he needs to do. I feel like every time I talk about Lucas, people think I'm very hostile to Lucas. We actually get on very well, and I would consider him like borderline a friend. But he is like that. So when he fucks off from Formula E, Nick DeVries can have Formula E seat. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Or Nico Muller. It's probably going to be Nico Muller.
Probably Muller. Oh, but yeah.
But then Nick DeVries could have his DTM seat. Everyone loves the DTM seat. Look, DeVal's very excited about his.
Yeah, because man, Class 1, DTM, and Super GT, the crossover I never knew I wanted.
Sad trombone noises. Nick DeVries is a 4 times point scorer in WEC, or WEC, if you want to make disgusting mouth noises. He's a 4-time F2 race winner in F2, not GP2. He only joined the series the last 2 years. He has done 2 Formula E tests, both in Marrakesh, one where he did no running because the car was broken, and one where he did some running because the car was not broken. And he has 2 GP3 wins, and he is Dutch.
Yes, he is a Dutch, and he
aged 24.
He's age 24, and his teammate Nikita Mazepin, he's also 20 years old. Last year in GP3, he ended up finishing second in the championship. European Formula 3 the year before, he was 10th with 3 podiums. Interesting pairing from ART this year.
Nikita Mazepan's dad, Dmitry Mazepan, is the right type of Russian at the minute.
He's the right type.
Yeah, so he's the right type of Russian oligarch. So he nearly bought Force India.
Yes.
Rather than Lawrence Stroll. And there was a big old ding dong where billionaire dads tried to have a big fight in the car park about
And basically he said, I was
horrible
here
son
first.
And the administrators gave it to Lawrence Stroll because he had more historical connection to racing. He owns the circuit, etc. So he had more backing.
Oh dear, something's happened. I cannot hear Hazel. Yeah, just give it a second or two. I'm pretty sure she'll reconnect. Okay, you reconnected, but I can't hear you. Actually, let me leave and come back. Maybe that'll fix things. Nope, hasn't solved anything. Yep, the one thing I did not make for this, a technical difficulties graphic. Ooh, still not fixed. Oh dear. Okay. Let me. It's like, don't worry, everyone. I'm still here, at least for the moment. Try to correct things. Okay.
Okay, so I just had to do this on my phone, but I think it's going to work. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. We're pretty close to the end anyway.
Yeah. Sorry. Don't know what happened.
Okay, so, yes, back to ART, and, yeah, I testing shows that DeVries is the fastest out there. A lot of people, including Motorsport Magazine, have him as one of the title favorites this year. A lot of people think it's DeVries' year. Personally, I'm not too sure about that. I think that things are a bit too chaotic.
I think, well, one, things are way more random than that, and also, two, like, calm your fucking tits. What do you mean you've got title contenders? You've done a fucking race.
It's like everyone's got to make their preseason picks.
No, everyone doesn't know. Like, I really wish we'd stop this. Like, do I think there's a few that could have a chance at a title? Yes, and it's basically the whole thing. Because it comes to down to who gets to grips with this machinery first. It is nothing like a lot of what most of them have seen before. Even those who have seen it before last year are wrestling with, so there's a much more complicated steering wheel. It's more F1-like steering wheel because it's informed to pay.
And the fact that almost no one's with the same team.
Well, yeah, and like nobody can get the clutch to work and shit. Like, it's not. It's also it's not the drivers that are failing to get the clutch to work. It's the teams. It's the whole series that's failing to get a cheap clutch to work on a complex turbocharged car. So yeah, I mean, like, F2 is very different from pure F3. Like, yes, they're both very grids, and F2 has a financial barrier to it, but it's because it's got things like the pit stop.
Yeah.
And it's that Grand Prix circuit, so you need more mechanics and Grand Prix circuits. Like, it's, and you're in the Grand Prix paddock, and there is a pressure and I don't know. Nikita might be alright. He's not terrible. He's had a few F1 tests.
Yeah, he'll do okay.
He's not dreadful, but he's certainly no Kvyat.
Yeah.
And I say this as an honest thing because Kvyat was a fucking revelation when he ripped the GP3.
Yeah, he pretty much raced. He raced Antonio Felix da Costa out of an F1 seat.
Yeah, no, completely. And Antonio is really good. So, like, and there's lots of luck involved in that, and there's lots of chances. In just 10 races in a single season championship, or you can, and you're pretty much guaranteed one retirement, one. And Kvyat didn't have a fuck.
Yep.
Like, and that was this big thing. Is Nikita that good? No. Can he learn to do that? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of, you know, my F1 hero was Damon Hill, and I only very recently, and I'm in my mid-30s. I only very recently passed the age where debuted. So I am very keen to slow down this fucking conveyor belt of youngsters or victors. And like, yeah, maybe Nikita will learn to be an artist, and that would be great. F1 needs more artists and fewer kind of like burnout. But anyway, my beautiful son aside, I guess we should get to the pinnacle.
Yeah, the pinnacle. Last year's
Which for some
team's
reason
champion.
involves two drivers who I've never thought of describing that as.
Yeah, last year's team champions, who had Lando Norris and Sergio Santacamera this last year, now have Louis Delatraz and Nobuharu Matsushita.
Louis Delatraz is a man. He is 21. He's Swiss. He was the Formula Renault 2.0 champion in 2015. And he has 2 Formula Renault 3.5 wins. He also tested tyres for Haas in Abu Dhabi last year. He's been in F2 for a bit. So now, of course, he's in the championship. Nobuharu Matsushita is a Honda-backed driver. They are incredibly thirsty. I used to work for Honda, and they are desperate for a Japanese driver to be in Formula One, or at least in contention for a Formula One seat. Obviously, it's very important to them, and you can see why. Massive investment in Formula One, and they want to see, something both commercially and nationally come of it. Nobuharu Matsushita is probably actually the last guy I would nominate to be their representative of Formula One. I feel that Nirei Fukuzumi, maybe he didn't want another year in F2, but he was a much better option. Nobuharu Matsushita was banned from a race.
Yep.
For his misdemeanors in Formula 2. I'm sure he's come back from that and he's learned from that. He's a Honda driver. He will have been forced to reflect on it. He will have reflected on it. And I hope that he's come back a more complete and potentially dominant driver. If he's really good, he could be really good here, and this could be really exciting to watch. He drove the same Super Formula team that Stoffel Van Dorn did, and he didn't really have a great time, but they're not actually a great team, so it's difficult to compare the two. Also, obviously, very different seasons, and weather is quite important in the Super Formula season. He has won 2 F2s, 2 F2 races and 2 GP2 races. Nobu is, a bit of a villain in some ways because of that one ban, and also because he has a bit of a tendency to race too hard. But I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. They're going to be in, what was last year the best car to be in.
I mean, the car's already Spitfire.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just remembered I need to get my mouth really close to the microphone.
But, if I had to pick someone to be the, quote unquote champion of the preseason, I really couldn't pick anyone. I don't know who the best person is.
Who do you want to have success, and what success do you want them to have? Let's end this on a positive note.
So let's see.
I mean, there's no one I think is a bad driver here. There's no one I think is undeserved to get in a F2 seat. I want to make that super clear.
Yeah, there's no undeserving driver.
There's somewhere you're like, they've been overlooked, so I want to see them do good.
Let's see. If I had to pick a quote unquote breakout driver of the year, I think Antoine Hubert. Probably I want I'd like to see him finish, top 3 in the championship. Maybe, I don't think he would win the championship, but I want him to do well.
You want him to do well enough to get another seat?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. So the 2 for me would be, or 3 actually. I would like to see standout performances by Nobu. I used to work for Honda, and I would really like to see him excel himself. I would like to see Jack Aitken pull out of the bag. He's the less funded, less fashionable, less in some ways connected. He's mixed race, and I feel that he is a bit of an underdog of British motorsport, and I would just like to see him get the breaks. I would just like to see him get it. At least get the chance to prove it. Whereas last year he was so stranded by just car shitting itself. And the 3rd, of course, I have to think that Tatiana will get points. Tatiana will get points. She will get points. Do I think she can win it? No, probably not. People act like that has to be the point. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She has pushed her way, and I know how fucking hard this is. She has pushed her way to this stage, so more people will come behind. She's forged this horrible wedge through the ice or whatever, and so there's a bigger gap behind her, and it's easier to chip away behind her, and I think Tatiana is brilliant, and that what she has to shoulder is impossible.
Yeah, it's an impossible weight to carry.
It's not possible to do it.
Yeah, but it makes it easier for everyone else after her, because when you go to a potential sponsor and be like, why should I sponsor you to be an F2? Well, it's like,
yeah. And I can bitch and moan about the lack of female races, but I can't fucking make my way up from cars. I'm in my mid-30s, for Christ's sake, it's just one of those things where you have to have the first Formula One drivers. They were shit.
Yep.
They were all men, and they were all shit.
They were all in their 40s and some in their 50s.
Oh my god! Oh Christ! If anyone in their 40s, that was young. You had a world champion in his 60s at one point, I think, you have to look at the huge history of men failing in Formula One. Statistically, there have been 5 women in Formula One scored points.
That is a tremendous point rate. Yeah.
No, it's huge.
Yeah.
The conclusion you would have to draw is men are shit at Formula One. Comparatively, in terms of point scoring ratio, because there have been hundreds and hundreds of men in Formula One and very few of them to score points. And the fact that 100% of world champions are men is an entirely incidental statistic to that. And I mean that genuinely. So, I have to believe that Tati will do something good. If not, she's lined up for me. So she's gonna bang it. So.
Yeah, where she did state that she did have her eye on potentially moving to Formula E, but in her heart she wants to go to Formula One.
Oh no! I mean, obviously,
yeah. That's so the Formula E side of things is why she wanted to go to
the 1000th Grand Prix in Formula One. And I'd be like, man, my spaghetti arms can barely pick up a motor.
But I'm doing it.
I would get in that car and I would fuck up the Chinese Grand Prix just because I was just like, shit.
I was there. But yeah, It's one of the reasons why she is at Arden and not Charu's, because Arden has a tie-up with HWA, and she feels like HWA's connections in Formula E and DTM would probably help, her career more long-term than, just hope.
No. It's because Ferrari have no interest in a female driver.
Also that.
So Arden have some history with Formula E, and obviously Maxi came from there to Formula E. And also it's sort of an agnostic choice.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have like Tatiana is because I've spoken to her multiple times, and the last time I spoke to her, she actually nicked my phone because she was being dragged off for a photo and carried on walking, speaking into my phone. But I really, really like her. I can recognise another woman who has forced herself into a space she isn't meant to be in. And everyone's like, who the fuck are you? Where are your results? Give you my results when
it's like, where are your results?
Similar access.
Yeah, it's like, where are your results? Well, I could also show you the results of everyone who's had similar careers to mine. Oh dear, I think it's happened again. Yep.
I just realised I've been talking to my phone for fucking ages without one fucking thing.
Okay, I think we should not tempt fate and try to finish up.
It is real bad. Okay. So, well, thank you to anyone who's listening, and I hope I wasn't rambling too badly.
No, we kept things on track. We didn't take too many tangents.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. But yeah, if you've made it this far, I'm pretty sure you're going to be watching Formula 2 this weekend in Bahrain. It will be excellent. Please watch it. Watch it. Watch it.
Please do. You know, if you don't have Sky Sports, then usually there's the other means that you can easily Google that are like 100% legit, and I should be able to promote. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, 100% legit. You can go watch that. Yeah, me and Hazel's Twitter usernames have been on screen this entire time.
You should also follow the official FIA _F2 Twitter account.
Yes.
Because some people might work on it. Don't know who they are.
But yeah, our Twitter usernames are on screen. You can catch me normally at motorsport101.com. Hazel, where can the good people find you?
I am at HSouthwell FE at Twitter.
Okay. And yeah, I do love in the chat. It's like it could be a lot worse. Someone in an airport could ask you to be quiet.
I'm sorry. Worst guest. I don't know why people have me. I haven't even looked at the chat. I should look at the chat. Is it just a series of people roasting me?
Yes, and also people are still adamant that you are the Autosport headline generator.
I'm honestly not. I'm not that funny. Like, I wish I was that funny.
Oh, but yes, it was a look at the time. Oh, it's been a fun. How long have we been doing this? It's been a fun 2 hours.
Yeah.
But hopefully we could do this again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it again after the first round, and then we'll have a roundup.
Oh, okay, we can do that. But yep, see you guys next time. Probably, maybe next week, 2 weeks, who knows? I'll let you know on Twitter.
Yeah. Let's work out what works. But yeah, in the meantime, let's just think about our absent son, Artem Markov.
Unfortunately, the only way you can watch him legally, and I'm pretty sure in Britain and the United States, is to subscribe to motorsport.tv.